Hey guys, this is Jaren with Patrick Adair Supplies. Today we're working on our June sub box ring, and it's in preparation for the 4th of July. So we have two different variations on an American flag ring. It's going to be a new addition to our ring blanks as well. So I think it'll be a really fun one. Let's get into it.
Every month, we dive into epic tutorials that break down everything you need to know to make awesome rings with your monthly sub box. We'll cover the tools, the materials, and techniques you need to turn your box into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. Whether you're a first-timer or a pro, you're in the right place.
All right, so in the Dusk of Valor variation, we have our titanium ring blank, dragonite opal, blue graphite opal, honeycomb calcite for the white, and then we have our blue glow powder and a mixing vial. For our pigments, we have slate blue and crimson red. Then for the Dawn of Victory variation, again, we have our titanium ring blank with the American flag design in it. Then we have Egyptian blue opal. We have glacier white opal and crimson red. Then we again have blue glow powder and a mixing vial. And then for pigments, rusty red and bright sapphire. Before making the ring, I always like to prep my materials beforehand. And so what I'm doing here is taking 3 parts glow powder and 1 part pigment. This mixture allows for the brightest glow possible as well as color matching the pigments very well. Now if you want a darker color, I would add more pigment and as well a lighter color, just a little bit less pigment. Then you're going to repeat this step for both of the colors that we want, the blue and the red, and then shake those very well. Make sure they're fully incorporated. For the white, the glow powder has a nice white to it, and so you can just use that. Now while I mix this other color, I want to remind you guys to join our Facebook group, Patrick Adair Makers. This is a good place to see other makers and their ideas and get really nice helpful tips from each other. As well, you have the opportunity to win a $50 gift card to our website. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can post on Instagram a photo of the sub box and tag us at #Patrick Adair Supplies. As well, you can post on the Facebook group Patrick Adair Makers. And also, congratulations to Lena D, our previous winner for last month. We will send out a email to you to give you that gift card. Now with that out of the way, our next step is to crush up our opals just a little bit smaller. This month's sub box ring has a custom ring blank that is inspired by the American flag, and with that comes a lot more shallow inlay channels. And so crushing up our material to a smaller size will help you have better control during the inlay step, as well as help you tightly pack the opals within it. To help out with this, I'm throwing this opal mix into a fine mesh strainer. There's a couple places you can find this, but I think Amazon is probably the easiest place. But this will just help you separate those opal sizes pretty easily. It's not super necessary, but I find it makes it just a little bit easier for me. And then I can take the larger pieces and continue to crush those down. So you can see here kind of the size I'm going for, a lot smaller than what we send out. And I'll separate that out, and then the small dust pieces I'm also going to hang on to fill any gaps in our inlay, so I'll just set that aside. And then for the larger pieces, you can set that aside for future projects. And now finally, after all of our prep work done, we're ready to begin inlaying our ring. So what I'm doing here is taking some electrical tape and sectioning off the blue section of our ring. That way it will prevent any blue getting inside those other inlay channels. On this step, you really want to take your time not to overfill this inlay channel. So just do one drop at a time and really take your time with this. Super Thin uses capillary action to fill all the small nooks and crannies inside the inlay channel, and so it doesn't really take much, just a couple drops at a time. Now once that's completely coated, you're going to take the blue pigment and hold it a couple inches above the inlay channel and lightly tap it. This will just allow just enough of that pigment to lightly coat that. Not fully filling up the inlay channel, just lightly coating the bottom surface. This step is really vital to have a nice thin layer because you want as much opal to be able to sit above it. Opal sometimes has small gaps and holes within the inlay, and so this just allows you to cover that metal backdrop, as well allows the glow to shine through the opal itself. Now with the bottom of the inlay channel fully coated with our blue mixture, we can pour on our opal from here. Since our opal is finely crushed, we're able to tightly pack this as much as possible. And while you pour this on, use that little case that we send you if you're not using it to catch any excess material. That way you're not wasting any opal and you can use that for later. Now we could stop here if you wanted, but I'm just going to do a little extra step and pour on that finely crushed opal dust on top of this. That way we are tightly packing this as much as possible. Since we filled some of those voids, I'm also going to put in a little bit more of that glow powder mix. That way we're not losing the glow in the mix. Now that that is completely filled up, I'm going to use our super thin and saturate that and let that cure for a little while. And then you can remove that tape if you used it at this point once that's fully cured, and then we can go on to our next inlay channel. Now these inlay channels here are very thin and very narrow, and so I'm going to use my glue tip to lightly paint super thin at the bottom of the channel, and I'm going to do that all the way across. Something to note here is that in the video I'm doing red in each of the inlay channels, but if you wanted to, we sent white material as well that you can inlay the center channel with. And if you're going to do that, you can tape that off the same way that you did before. That way you're not getting any of the red in that center channel. But yeah, basically you're going to take the pigment and lightly coat the bottom of the inlay channel, very similar to what we just did before. Once that's fully coated, I'm going to take our super thin again and just do one drop at a time to saturate that. Since these channels are so thin and so narrow, I want to reiterate, just work very slowly and just do a little bit at a time. It's very easy to overfill these. Once that's completely saturated, you're now ready to begin filling it with our small opal mixture. And you're pretty much going to do what we just did with the blue. You're going to fill it up with the small opal pieces, and then if you want to, you can do the opal dust and then a little bit of the pigment after that. All right, now we have a fully inlaid ring and is fully cured, so we're ready to begin our gemeling stage. Just a few things of note. Our inlay materials are pretty soft, and as well titanium is a pretty soft metal when gemeling, and so you want to work very slowly. With our inlay channels being so shallow, it is especially important with this ring not to overwork it. And so what I'm using here is a 120 grit Dremel drum, and just working one section at a time. As soon as it's flush, I stop and move on to the next section. Now that I have that completely flush, I'm going to wet sand with 220 grit sandpaper to remove any impurities created from the gemeling stage. And I'm going to completely dry that off, make sure it is fully dry, especially because you're going to fill any holes and gaps in the inlay channel with a little bit of pigment. For the red section, I'm of course using red, and then the blue, I'm going to use the blue mixture. If you run your finger over it just a little bit, it'll push down the pigment down into those small voids. And then you're just going to fully coat that with super thin. Now that that is fully cured, I'm going to do a 220 sand again. And something I noticed after I sanded at this stage, I stopped and dried it off, and I noticed a couple of voids and holes that I need to be filled. And so it's always important to check your work as you go. That way you're not having to backpedal and start over. And so since there were a couple of holes here, I'm going to do a very thin coat of super thin on top of that just to fill those holes. Now that that's cured, I'm ready to begin our final sanding steps. So I'm wet sanding with 220, 500, 1000, and 1200 grit. You might notice that sometimes I'm stopping and checking the ring. All I'm doing is just checking for any imperfections or holes during the process, just to make sure that it's okay. And while I was doing it, I started to notice just how cool this ring started to turn out to look. I think this ring design is really special, especially because it's in celebration for the US's 250th birthday. We're getting this out to you guys a little bit early, that way you're able to have it ready for the 4th of July. For this, we also did 2 different variations on this ring design. We did the Dawn of Victory, which represents a very bright new American flag with the bright colors and a high gloss finish, versus the Dusk of Valor, which represents a American flag that has stood the test of time through all the battles that have been fought and the resilience that represents. And to show this properly, there are a couple different finishes that I want to teach you guys as well on this step. The variation I'm working on in this video is the Dusk of Valor. So to do this, I'm doing a brush finish across the front and inside. You can do this by using 220 grit sandpaper and a flat surface to add a brush finish on the outside, as well as we're sending you Scotch-Brite wheels as a bonus item. This will allow you to add a little bit more of a brush finish on the inside and on the sides, as well add little scuffs as you want on different parts of the ring. Each Scotch-Brite wheel has a different grit to it depending on the color, and so you're really able to customize exactly how this ring will look and feel. As you can see here, I'm just adding a couple different scuffs at different grits on the outside of the ring, and this will really make it look a little bit more aged and used, which I think just creates a little bit more of a unique feel to this ring, different than anything that we've ever done in the sub box. Then for the Dawn of Victory variation, we're bringing this up to a complete mirror finish. And so with sandpapers, I'm going all the way up to 10,000, which might be a little bit overkill, but I think it's worth it for this ring. Also, we are using our Astrotech polishes. This allows a complete mirror finish. Using step 1, 2, and 3 will allow you to get the best finish possible. Now I just want to show you guys side by side how these turned out. I think that you really can't go wrong what variation you go with. I think all of them turn out super unique and super cool. And I'm really excited for this one for the 4th of July. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Leave a vote in the comments which one you like best, and I'll see you guys next time.